truthers. I'm Cher McAnelly, head of entertainment at Tumblr and gullible human.
And I'm Lauren Shippen, professional writer and Tumblr detective.
And this is Dashboard Diaries, a podcast for you, the folks who are in this internet bunker with us. We talk about what's going on our favorite hell site, get into what we like to call Tumblr, do fandom deep dives, and share the times when we've gone feral over a new ship. So we have quite a big episode today. So I think aligns very well with the name of our first segment, Dashboard Confessionals.
That's true.
Because we'll be talking about some Tumblr conspiracies and scandals today. So before we dive in, do you have a dashboard confessional for us, Lauren?
I do. I have another one from 2015 because now we're into the first year that I had my current blog. And it is a post of the astrological signs as fan fiction cliches. So Cher, what's your sign?
I am a Taurus.
I'm an Aries.
Okay.
So we're very close together. Yours is fake pretend relationship turns real. Do you feel like that vibes with your Taurus energy?
Yes, 1000% it does.
Mine is misunderstanding leading to angst, which I feel like is actually just my life. So I feel very called out.
Why are these signs posts always so accurate? I just don't. They know us. I can't.
They know us.
Yeah.
I'm not really a horoscope or astrology person, but I do anytime, it's one of those things that anytime you see look at what your sign is in this particular meme, it's like, you have to check. You have to see if it's accurate.
100%. And yeah, I know nothing of the other signs. I know that Aries is a fire sign, and that's pretty much all I know about. And that Gemini is the twins.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty much, and then Taurus are stubborn, which I think I am.
And I think Aries share that with Taurus.
Well, we have that in common.
I do want to say, we will, of course, reblog this to dashboarddiaries.tumblr.com so you can see what fan fiction cliche you are. I do want to say my favorite is for Pisces, which is a character eats something sexily, which is just such a specific fan fiction cliche.
It is truly so specific. Yeah, I was reading through trying to see which one my favorite one is, and or if there is anything that has actually happened to me.
Oh, and what did you find?
Oh, meddling friends playing matchmaker, because I am absolutely a meddling friend who plays matchmaker. And you know what, Lauren? 2 separate couples can thank me for their marriages. So
that's pretty good. That's a pretty good win count.
Right? I think so as well. What about you? What's your favorite?
I think I'm mutual pining. I just it's so simple. It's so effective. I love a mutual pining, especially if it's a slow burn. It's just delicious. And that is Sagittarius, and the meddling friends play matchmakers is Virgo. So yeah, check out what your sign is, and if it matches with your favorite fan fiction cliche. Cher, what do you have from the archives this week?
I have a very fun little post that feels super on brand. I reblogged it in 2018, and it's a short but sweet text post. And I also thought again that the URL or I thought that the username fit really well for the theme of today. So it's from user Kwon with a Q, Spiracy Theorist, who posted a confused florist, and then they reblogged themselves and replied, "What incarnation?"
So good. This is a very Shae McMullin post.
Honestly, wish I'd come up with it myself. My favorite one there's this joke that I always thought I came up with, and as it turns out, it's just a really common one that many people see is very obvious.
Incredible.
So I will, of course, tell you right now, Lauren.
Please.
What did the parents say to the melons that couldn't get married?
I have no idea.
You cantaloupe.
How could I not see it? It was right there. That's pretty good. I like that a lot.
Thank you very much. I will be here all week.
I also really like this post because it shows, we've talked about this so much, just the unique quality of Tumblr as a posting style.
Yeah.
And this is just setup and punchline, being able to do that with your own blog in a way that creates the rhythm of a setup and punchline, but that the viewer is still sort of consuming as one thing. Because obviously you could do this on like Twitter as a tweet and then a reply to the tweet. But a tweet on a timeline, you're only going to see, you know, the first one, not the reply. I mean, this is back when Twitter worked, and that, you know, you can you can have fun with that too. But I love the setup punchline of someone reblogging their own post to tell a joke. It's very good.
It's one of my favorite Tumblr things. Or when someone will post something about, I don't know, a potato or whatever it is, and then user potato responds.
The thing I've been seeing a lot recently, and this I guess is like we haven't been doing our last week on Tumblr segment because of the SAG strike and we can't talk about TV and film, but something I have been seeing on Tumblr a lot recently is the resurgence of gimmick blogs. So potato would be like, you know, there's potato and then there's small potato. And it's like those blogs have fun responding to posts about potatoes and small potatoes. And there's a blog out there now counting the number of letters from the alphabet that you use in a post and rating it out of 26, you know, so it's like 24 out of 26. You use 24 of the letters of the alphabet out of 26. That's been really popular, that's been on so many posts, that is run by some sort of wizard, is identifying cars in posts. Have you seen this blog?
No.
So people will reblog, or sometimes this user, I think, just finds these posts. And if there is a car in the post anywhere, as in like if it's in the way background of a picture that somebody posts, this blog correctly identifies it. It's wild.
That is so wildly specific.
It's so specific. And it's like, and it doesn't seem to be like decade dependent. Like they seem to have 100-year knowledge of every car that's ever been made. It's incredible.
You know, I love a good hyperfixation. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Never stop fixating.
Never stop fixating.
If there was, okay, Lauren, if there was a similar type of blog that you had to create, what is something that you think you, like, based on the knowledge you have, could identify or talk about in that level of detail?
Ooh, that's very interesting. I don't know. I really don't know. I think so. One of the hyperfixation blogs that I used to have on Tumblr was a blog that was just dedicated to different words that P.G. Wodehouse, the author, uses in his books. I have a whole spreadsheet of it.
Oh my!
And so and it's like he didn't necessarily invent words, but he created Jeeves and Wooster, which is probably his most famous work, and he used really like fun, you know, funny language in his books, including like a million different ways of referring to like someone being drunk. And like tight as an owl is like one phrase that he would use to mean drunk. And I don't know if he came up with that or if it was just a thing that they said in the 30s in England. But I feel like I could have a blog that was like identifying the origin or first usage of words. You know, be like, you use this word and it was first used in, you know, this Shakespeare play and 15 whatever. Like I feel like I could get very into that, even if I don't necessarily have all that knowledge now. What about you?
Oh yeah, first off, that blog should absolutely exist. And I'm trying to think, I actually think mine would be word related too, but it would be, I would reply to any post with a pun about the post.
That's very good.
I think that would be my thing. Yeah.
I feel like that is within your grasp.
Always finding the punchline, you know.
Yes. The punchline.
Yeah.
Is that
anything? Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Fantastic. Well, speaking of Tumblr things, I think it's time to dive into some Tumblr conspiracy theories and scandals. Let's really get, you know, deep into the diary of the Tumblr dashboard.
Yes.
Dive into the archive. Anyway, let's talk about some let's talk about some conspiracy theories and scandals on Tumblr, Lauren. Which one have you decided to talk about today?
So, yeah, this topic came from our conversation in the last episode just about sort of, Tumblr conspiracies and the wildness of conspiracies and scandal on Tumblr. And there were so many to choose from. And there are some that definitely I think I want to do like a longer segment on. And so I was trying to find something that was like uniquely Tumblr, like weird and a mystery. And this one actually has a solution, which is exciting, but also like not that complicated. And so I am bringing to the table today Constable Frozen. Are you familiar? Are you also bringing Constable Frozen?
I am not bringing Constable Frozen, but I am familiar with Constable Frozen.
Yeah, that was the chuckle of somebody who knows where this is going.
But today I am bringing the toe necklace,
Oh,
or
good.
what I have decided to call Tumblr.
Tumblr. Excellent.
So I think we have a wide range of things we're going to chat about today. And yeah, Tumblr
really
has not only a solution, but also an update, which I think is especially interesting. Yeah.
Thrilling.
Yeah. For those listeners who are not chronically online, Lauren, what is Constable Frozen?
So Constable Frozen is a blog that began many, many years ago. I'm not entirely sure the exact year, but sometime between the release of the movie Frozen and 2016, 2017. And it's a blog that's hard to describe, but basically it is a entirely like photo set, gift set blog of the characters from Frozen photoshopped into various scenarios, sometimes with Marvel characters, sometimes with other Disney characters, sometimes just with each other in new scenarios, with no context or text. So these posts are deeply strange. And Constable Frozen first became a known entity on Tumblr because the posts are deeply strange. They are like I saw a post that was like the we do know two things about who Constable Frozen is. We know that they love the movie Frozen and that they're very good at Photoshop. Because a lot of these Photoshops like are very elaborate. A lot of the time, the posts are like quite similar to the gift sets that we've talked about in the past that were very popular in Super Hulock days, where people would put together gift sets or photo sets of different scenes from Super Hulock and sort of mix them together and put text on top of them to kind of create a scene as a crossover with those three shows. Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Super Hulock, which then my question for you is, how did you find this podcast?
Yeah.
So like a lot of the Constable Frozen posts are kind of like that. Like, it's Elsa and Anna as like the Avengers, or, hanging out with other Disney princesses. It's sort of like that scene from Wreck-It Ralph, where all the princesses are hanging out. Like a lot of it's just sort of like pretty standard crossover fandom stuff, except there's no text over the photo. So it's sort of like this purely visual thing that you are consuming. And then Constable Frozen sort of got more and more popular because a lot of the posts are just like they're just weird. Like they're just very weird. Like a lot of them involve like eating ice cream, like the characters eating ice cream, including one where Olaf the snowman is making ice cream in his body and then sort of shooting it into Elsa and Anna's mouth. And then another one, they're like Merida from the movie Brave with her like curly red hair. They're like eating her hair as spaghetti. Like there's a lot of weird eating stuff. There's one where Elsa is in a Pringles can and then she like pops up and eats a large Pringle. And so this was sort of like an oddity on Tumblr for a long time. Like, Cher, do you remember the first time that you sort of encountered Constable Frozen as a concept?
I actually encountered Constable Frozen as I was researching for this episode, Lauren. So I had no idea about it. I fully missed it.
That's incredible. Okay, yeah. I what a delightful thing to be unaware of.
I know. I can't, but I also just am deeply obsessed with it. I cannot believe that I missed it because I absolutely would have been following along and like participating in some way. I mean, it's so chaotic. It's one of those things where it makes you wonder if you live in a simulation,
Yes. That is the perfect way to describe the energy of these posts. Like it does make you feel like I think that's why they first started to cross my dash, because everyone was like, is everybody seeing the thing that I'm seeing? I think especially because Constable Frozen never posted any other kind of post. I don't think ever really reblogged anything. They didn't seem to really interact with anybody. And again, there was like, sometimes there would be a caption, like the Olaf ice cream one that I was describing. The caption was just ice cream. But like, that was the most context that there was. Whereas usually I think with like blog scandals or conspiracies. So much of it is about the fact that like people kind of come up with elaborate personas that they present on Tumblr, and then eventually like they're unmasked. And I mentioned to Cher after we'd stopped recording last week, the Hamilton cannibal mermaids fake AIDS scandal.
Yes, of course.
Which I do want to do a whole episode on. And like that's I think a great example of like the typical sort of like Tumblr blog scandal, like where, you know, everybody's confused about the identity, but it's because somebody's like trying to create a fake identity basically.
Yeah.
But for this, it was just like there's no context for who this person might be. And eventually, so the blog started in 2014, and eventually they posted a post that I believe has now been removed that was like sort of almost like bondage adjacent. Like it sort of like got into like even weirder territory, and then it sort of made everybody on Tumblr reflect that like, wait a second, is Constable Frozen a fetish blog? and this eventually turned into like, oh, Constable Frozen is specifically a Vore fetish vlog.
Oh,
have we talked about Vore before?
I don't know if we've talked about Vore on this podcast before, but I unfortunately know what it
is. So I would love to hear how you first came to know what Vore is, because I have a funny story about how I first came to know what Vore is.
Wow, love, I cannot wait to hear it. I'm struggling to remember how I found out about Vore, but it was in a conversation similar to this where we were talking about like the internet and fandoms. I think I was at Tumblr. I think I was at you know what? I just hit my microphone because I realized something. I learned about Vore and mpreg on the same day.
Incredible.
Early in working at Tumblr. I mean, it really threw me in the deep end, of course. Okay, so
you learned about these things at work. Not many people can say that.
Which it is. I mean, the list of things that I'll just say casually in a meeting or we're talking about at work, and you really, if you think about the shit that you're saying just so seriously in an important meeting and or presentation, like we've decided to really lean into shit posting as a strategy this quarter.
That's so good.
So how did you learn about Vore, Lauren?
So I learned about, this is I think like a fun fandom story that I think says a lot about my particular fandom identity. So early in my time in LA, this was probably 3 or 4-ish years, I guess not that early, but about halfway through my time in LA, I joined this Facebook group that was for people in fandom. And this is actually where I met like almost all of my best friends in LA. And we would have, meetups, and we would, go to events together and things like that. And it's just been a really great community throughout the years. We're now kind of all scattered to the winds, but we still, hang out on Facebook and talk to each other. And one of the very first events that I went to, like I joined the group, and then I went to a couple events, and then the Facebook group was like, let's have a Valentine's Day party, right? Like, let's have a Valentine's Day party the day before Valentine's Day. And I offered to host it. And because I'm me, I went very extra, and I printed out a bunch of those Tumblr fandom Valentines. And I like pasted them on my door so people could find my apartment, and like put them all around the apartment and everything. We had a very good time. And one of the things that we did at this fandom party, which was like maybe, like 15 people who were like deep in fandom, was play fanfic Never Have I Ever.
Oh gosh.
And this is like a favorite game of mine now, because wow, what a way to learn about a bunch of people that you only sort of know. And also, what a way to learn about things that you have never encountered before. And so we play fanfiction Never Have I Ever, and somebody says, never have I ever read Vore. And a bunch of us were like, what the fuck is Vore? And then the person explained that it's a fetish of consuming or being consumed. And it often sort of like is related to just like eating in general. Like, I'm not entirely sure. I still have not read any Vore fic, but I said I had never heard of this term before. Mm-hmm. And everybody in the room, and this is just like a good example of what my reputation has been in fandom, looked at me and was like, how is that possible? You're the one.
Oh my gosh. Honestly.
I'm the one.
Because is Vore also like, like being eaten, but like from the inside, like you're inside of the mouth and watching the eating happen, I feel like is an aspect of it.
I think that
I
that's
could be
a
wrong.
version of it. I
A
think
version of it, but it's
probably
not the whole thing.
Vore is in the eye of the beholder.
No, but the mouth of the beholder.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, like, listen, and actually at that point I had not read very many. Okay, so I'm now talking about a TV show, but I had not read very many fics for this show that I was really, really into and still am very into about cannibalism. But to this day, like, I now have gotten
It's
into
a
fics
comfort show.
It's comfort show. It genuinely is. And it's been now 10 years since the show first aired. And so, like, obviously, you know, it only has 3 seasons. I have missed it. So I have gotten very into fanfic since it aired, but I didn't read really any fanfic while it was airing. And this party took place like while in between seasons 2 and 3 of this show, I think. And I have to say, there's not a lot of stuff in that's tagged Vore that I've encountered. Like, I tend to sort by kudos, and so like maybe people are just like not reading and kudosing those fics, but like I do think that Vore and cannibalism are a little bit different. And so anyway, that was a very, very long side journey there. But that's what Vore is. And people started to think that Constable Frozen was a Vore blog. And Constable Frozen is still posting. Their last post was in June of this year, so they're still around. But in sort of researching Constable Frozen for this episode, I found something that I had missed in 2017, which is that New York Magazine tracked down Constable Frozen.
What?
Yes. So there's this great article that I'll be sure to put on our Tumblr that sort of outlines a lot of what I've outlined for you here and links to some of the posts that we talk about. And the journalist, Brian Feldman, thank you, Brian Feldman, for doing the important work.
The hero we need.
The hero we need. Maybe not the hero we deserve, but the hero that we need. And so he went and did a deep dive on the internet, basically, to find this person. And was able to, through, you know, servers and I don't know, a bunch of stuff that I don't understand. They like tracked the earliest post on Tumblr to a South Korean forum. And then through Google Translate, they were able to find a YouTube channel that also had these like Elsa Iron Man mashups. And then also an Instagram account. And then they went through the Whois records, which are like the internet public records that you can find. And they were able to find an email address. And so they found this guy, Shin Chul, and they spoke through Google Translate. And Shin says it's not a fetish thing.
Huh.
Yeah. He just said it was a sort of mashup of he loved Frozen, Japanese comics, Hollywood movies, and just stuff that was in his brain. And he just, you know, I guess was expressing his fandom in this particular way. And the journalist did ask him about the sort of bondage post. Mm-hmm. And Shin just responded with, well, and did not give any more information.
Honestly, so, very Tumblr. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's a mystery solved. I did not expect, and this happened now 6 years ago. This is back in 2017. And somehow, like, I guess we didn't talk about this on Tumblr, that like we found the identity of Constable Frozen, maybe because we want to keep the mystery alive.
Yeah.
But you know, thank you for your service, Shin Chul. This is a great service you've done us, this weird blog. And yeah, apparently it's not a fetish thing. So mystery solved.
What a great art project. I mean, that's so cool. Seriously. I want to go to the Constable Frozen museum, like, experience. You know, it's just so bizarre and creative. I love that. I see that, like, that's just so Tumblr. You know what I mean? That's what Tumblr is all about. Just creating something, like, unique and so bizarre and specific to your interests, and that resonating with everyone else in some way or another just because you're so into it.
Yes, you know? And also being wildly misinterpreted.
I mean, of course, you can't interpret something correctly on Tumblr, Lauren. I'm looking at the archive right now. So it looks like he stopped posting in May 2022, but then he's posted again once in June 2023.
Oh, so there's only been one post this year. Wow.
Yeah. So from like March till May 22, he was posting once a month. In February, he posted 3 times. In January, he posted 4. In December 2021, he posted 5. Like, he was really like It's really interesting. There's almost like a cadence to the way that he posts if you look at his archive.
They look pretty labor intensive as posts. Like I'm terrible at Photoshop. I know like the very rudimentary basics, but like even knowing that, like I think there's real skill and artistry that's going into these. So yeah, like 5 to 6 posts a year in sort of the height makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the impact they had, the post to impact ratio is enormous.
Yeah. I like it. The most recent one, the one he posted on June 15th of this year, is 2 frames of Elsa. One, she's looking down, and then the other, she's looking forward. And the caption is just the shrimp, like the shrimp tempura emoji with an X next to it.
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Constable Frozen,
Please,
what does it mean?
Does anyone out there know what this means? I think we have another mystery on our hands. Mystery. Constable Frozen has been trying to communicate with us through the captions.
As a final closing note on this epic, I do want to say that this New York Magazine article, they have tags at the bottom, so you can like go and read more articles about these particular things. This is tagged with Vore, and this is the only article in New York Magazine that's tagged with Vore, and I just think that that's perfect. And
does it again.
This is an interesting segue now to the toe necklace. Tell us about Tumblr.
Totally. Did I pick this topic because of the
pun
potential? Potential.
Yeah.
I maybe did. Anyway, so yes, the toe necklace. So first off, Lauren, before I begin with the TLDR, the toe long didn't read. How familiar are you with the toe necklace?
You know what? I am familiar with it in the sense that like, if someone said to me Tumblr toe necklace, 3 weeks ago, even I would have been like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But I think I do get it confused with the bone stealing witch. And so I'm curious to sort of learn more in depth where the toe necklace exactly came from. Just give, I guess, like a very, very quick primer on bone stealing witch so that our listeners aren't like, wait, I want to hear about that also. This was somebody who was a practicing, I don't know if they were Wiccan, but they sort of refer to themselves as, needing bones for magic witch stuff. And they lived in New Orleans or somewhere in Louisiana. And when there was a lot of rain or maybe even like a hurricane, they went through the graveyard and like picked up stray bones and brought them home for their own purposes. And they described this in a post, if I remember correctly, as if it was like a perfectly normal thing to do if you're somebody who needs human bones. And everybody was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, those are people's like people are buried. Like, what are you doing? Why are you taking bones from a graveyard? And like their defense was sort of like, well, they came up from the ground because of the rain. And it's like, that doesn't make it okay. Leave the bones alone. So that was like the broad overview of bone stealing witch. But so so that's like where my mind went. But I'm curious where Tumblr begins and how it leads into even more bone stealing.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so excited to tell you, I'll take you on this journey, Lauren and listeners. So the toe saga began in November 2016 with a Tumblr post from user Cummy-Eyelids.
Okay.
Because of course it did.
Excellent.
Who shared a photo of a like medical jar that had, like some liquid and like a severed toe in it. And the caption is, "A few days ago, I received a very special package in the mail. It contained this amputated human toe belonging to the lovely Royally Oily. Like, literally, this is a toe off her foot. I'll be changing the solution, putting it in a pretty new jar, and potentially making it into a wearable pendant. Taking on this project is so super meaningful to me, more so than any other jewelry project I've taken on, including the engagement ring. I'm so appreciative of her trust in me, and I'm toe excited." I added that in and said so excited. "And I'm so excited to work on this." So that is, and then Royally Oily,
which is another Tumblr user,
which is the other Tumblr user. This is Royally. So Cummy-Eyelids is the toe receivee, and Royally Oily is the toe owner.
Sure.
Of course. And so Royally Oily reblogs the post and says, literally brought tears to my eyes. I am so grateful and excited myself. Not only do I absolutely trust your artistic expertise, cummy eyelids, but I also feel my body part, yes, an actual piece of me, could not be in more capable hands. I know you will respect and care for my little piggy. I appreciate this more than you'll ever know. And then another Tumblr user Coro Levix, reblogged and said, hey guys, just a quick question. What the fuck is going on over here? Which obviously the most valid response,
the
right?
only response.
And so obviously immediately this post goes viral and everybody is talking about the toe necklace and ask it, like, the theory is, or everyone's kind of assumed, that this person, user Royally Oily, has cut off her toe and sent it to Cummy Eyelids to make into a piece of jewelry. What actually happened after, much back and forth and a ton of very funny takes, was that user Royally Oily had that toe amputated, and it was really important to them to have every part of their body with them, up until their death. So they wanted to essentially get this toe made into a necklace so they could keep it with them forever, and then, be eventually buried with it when their time came.
Gotcha. So Cummy Eyelids was not going to keep the toe necklace for themselves.
The Cummy Eyelids was just the artist, and just, really giving this toe some new legs. And
so wait, this was but it was real. Like, somebody really sent their amputated toe to somebody.
Someone really sent their amputated toe to somebody. This user Cummy Eyelids is an artist and works a lot with mostly animal parts, like scavenged animal parts. In doing my research, I found out that Cummy Eyelids is part of what's called vulture culture, which is kind of exactly what it sounds like. People kind of collecting and, preserving, like, remains that they find. And so that is kind of the whole saga there. And then, Lord, you would think it ends there and you're like, wow, like, what, wrapped up quite neatly, But
I don't know that I'm satisfied.
Oh no, but Lauren, there's so much more.
Oh my God, I'm so unprepared.
This all happened in 2016, right? And then, so, the, Toegate happened, it died down. And then a couple years later, user Cummy Eyelids posted a photo of herself with a human skull, like a selfie with a human skull. And obviously, immediately, Tumblr was like, excuse me, what the hell?
Is that a real human skull?
Is that a real human skull? And it came out that, people were thinking that it was like a child's skull and that she'd stolen it. And she posted and said, I assure you that this was an ethically obtained skull. And
what does that mean?
Was like, what does that mean? There is no way there's an ethically obtained skull. And she's like, no, I got it from my bone person, And
why do all these people have bone people?
Right? So, people thought she was robbing it. Some people said that she got it at a flea market, and some, and then I think she said that she got it from a bone person. And there's just so much discourse. I have a lot of posts that I liked that I'll reblog or shared to Dashboard Diaries, just talking about this saga.
Yes, please.
And I don't really know kind of what the resolution is, or if there really is a resolution. There's, I think, the post that, the biggest post about it, and the one that I think wraps it up the best, is it's a text post from user MPD Queer, who said, me logging onto tumblr.com. What's the tea today? Tumblr. User Cummy-Eyelids has purchased a child skeleton for $30 at a flea market and refuses to admit how massively unethical this is. Me logging off Tumblr.
Yep, that sums up the experience.
Yes. And the other thing is, so there's a couple other additional things here. First off, I am not sure, because I've seen differing reports, if Cummy-Eyelids, once again at talking about, we are at work right now, and I have said Cummy-Eyelids dozens of times. I don't know if she got the skull at a flea market, or from her ethical bone person, or from her ethical bone person at a flea market. And ethical is obviously in very sarcastic quotation marks.
Yeah, huge scare quotes.
And people are saying it's a child skull, and that it's like, like from Victorian era. It's a whole thing. But here's the other thing. I looked up the cummy-eyelids.tumblr.com, and it doesn't exist. But cummy-eyelids.tumblr.com does exist. And the thing is, the initial toe post number 1, was from cummy-eyelids, singular dash. However, a lot of users did the double dash when they're talking about the skeleton situation and the skull situation. So, and the toe post has since been deleted. My thought is that user Cummy-Eyelids updated her URL to Cummy-eyelids, which would have been helpful, but then there was just a whole other scandal.
Oh my
and then
God.
User Royally Oily also has since deleted their Tumblr, and in just a really bizarre, like, I don't even know what to, like, turn of events, whatever you could call it. It is now a blog that was active from September to October 2017, just featuring photos of babies.
What?
Like dozens, Lauren, of babies.
What?
Yes.
Wait. Okay. Wait.
I'm gonna drop these in our doc so that you can just take a quick gander.
So, as in, Royally Poily activated again to post pictures of babies, or somebody used that URL after they had given it up and made a new blog where they posted pictures of babies.
That is what I think happened. I'm pretty sure that user Royally, but it's really interesting because all this happened in 2016. In 2017, Royally Oily returned, or someone else who also, it's just a very specific username too. So I just, it doesn't feel like someone be like, oh, potato is free or whatever it is.
Right.
Like it's so specific. And so the fact that, there are, it's just dozens of photos of babies. I'm very confused. And one photo of someone holding up a positive pregnancy test. And again, these all look, and like some of the babies look really weirdly AI generated, or
weird.
Most of them, or like, they look like babies when you put, two people together. And like what like in one of those generators on one of those websites, and like, what would our baby look like? It's so bizarre.
That is deeply, deeply strange.
So, the Tumblr conspiracy, at first we thought it was wrapped up, and then, Bonegate Part 3 happened, and then now there's just these two very strange Tumblr accounts. I'm pretty sure Cummy-Eyelids is the original Cummy-Eyelids, just given the content on the Tumblr, right? Which is just very aesthetically similar to, and even like, looking at, like the profile photo and everything, I'm pretty positive it's the same person. So that's the toe conspiracy.
I'm speechless. Like that took so many more turns. Because I think in the back, the moment you said like toe in the jar and someone making jewelry from a toe, I was like, oh, I do think I remember this, and I think I remember seeing it and just sort of assuming that it was some sort of weird hoax joke thing.
Yeah.
And so did they ever post a picture of the final necklace?
I don't think so, actually.
I would be I'm curious. Because the original toe was like in formaldehyde, right?
Yeah.
And it was a full toe.
Indeed it was.
Yeah. And so like my question was, did they somehow preserve the full toe, or did they get it just down to bones? And so I have to think that they got it just down to bones.
I think they would have had to get it down to bones because even in like the post itself, she said that she was switching out the jar and putting it in new, like in a prettier jar and putting it in new liquid because the liquid is going to expire. I think it only lasts a few years. So definitely if she wanted to, like, I think she was going to, get it down to bones and then cast it in resin. I'm really interested to see the final necklace. If anyone knows or ever saw the final result, please send it our way.
Yeah. Yeah. And Royally Oily, if you're still out there and you happen to hear this, like, I'd be very curious to hear if you like wear this necklace every day or if it's just something that you want to be buried with. Cause I think like I get the impulse behind it. I really do. And that is a cool way to like preserve your own body part for, future laying to rest, I guess.
Yeah. And
and it's cool that there's an artist for everything.
And that is there's an artist for everything. Like you can find, if you want to make your toe into a necklace, you can find someone who would be beyond excited to do that. And that is the beauty of the internet, And I also like, my mom definitely has all the teeth I lost growing up, which having a jar of teeth in your home, creepy. Like I would say equally as creepy as I don't know, a little macabre as a toe necklace. So, it's one of those, and that's way more socially accepted because that's what everyone does, right? So what really is the difference?
Well, and because we understand too that like you could lose teeth. I mean, we recognize what baby teeth look like, and we understand if we see a jar of baby teeth that it's like these teeth came out harmlessly. Yeah. Right. I actually saw this post going around Tumblr the other day that was it was a post of a video that someone screenshotted and put on Twitter, and then somebody screenshotted the Twitter post and put it on Tumblr. But it was a post of someone making a Christmas tree out of deer antlers, and they, in the video it was like no deer were harmed in the making of this tree, and then the person tweeting was like, no deer harmed, what the fuck are you talking about? And then the community note on the tweet was, the tweet user was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, are you saying that the antlers just fell off painlessly, like they were, being sarcastic? And then the community note is like, deers shed their antlers painlessly every year. And it's like, I do feel like the teeth are like, baby teeth. We shed them, not painlessly necessarily, but we shed them. But like, a skull or a toe or something like that, I think is a little bit more, raises more questions, perhaps.
Yeah.
As to
why. Valid. Yeah. So now that we know, see, here's the difference. Toe, ethically sourced. Given with consent.
Yep.
Excellent. Skull from flea market, unethically sourced, no consent.
Yeah. It does raise an interesting, I don't want to go too down farther rabbit hole on the ethics of bone sourcing. Well, and actually just to make a quick addendum to my earlier explanation of the bone stealing witch, it was actually a call out post initially to the user who was stealing the bones. And then the user tried to explain. I didn't realize this. Eventually, the bone stealing witch was raided by the police and they found 11 bones and 4 teeth in her house. So there's that. And I think like gathering bones from a cemetery, like loose bones from a cemetery is very clearly unethical. I was thinking though, sort of like, okay, if you're at a flea market or an antique shop and you see like a human skeleton, like, one of those like display skeletons that they use in like anatomy classes and things like that, that's like clearly old and like, clearly the person's been dead for several hundred years or whatever. Or like, they're from Victorian times, whatever. Yeah. Like, there's no way for you to find the family of that person. I don't think. I mean, like, I guess like you could do stuff with DNA, but like that's like very involved. Like, is that, I'm not saying this is my moral stance. I'm just pondering. Is that sort of the same as like buying an old fur coat at a flea market? Because it's like you're not supporting the fur industry because no animal's being killed because you were like buying something and therefore showing that there is, demand. You're buying a coat for an animal that was, killed 100 years ago. I don't know. I don't know where the ethics on that are. Also, presumably, if it's a full skeleton, like a model skeleton or a skeleton used for a model, presumably that person gave their bones to science. So I think then the ethical thing would be to donate it to some sort of classroom or museum or something. But
yeah, that's a really interesting point, Lauren, because I think there are those kinds of events, right? They have those kinds of like oddities and like macabre, like traveling fairs and things where they sell like, all kinds of different body parts. And there's a museum / bar in New York called House of Wax that has it has body parts in it and like a whole bunch of like weird jars full of like preserved things.
Yeah.
And I mean, where did they get those? Are those ethically sourced? Like, were they given to science? I mean, I feel like that's like, I mean, I'm not sure what the answer is, honestly, because at a certain point, it's like, how do you know how old it is and how it was sourced? And if it was given to science, is that okay? If it was stolen 500 years, like.
Right. Like, what would be the ethical thing to do with it now? Like, actually, yeah, I've been to a pub in England. It's one of the oldest pubs in England that has a severed human hand. I actually don't know if it's the real hand anymore. I forget. But like, it's supposedly, someone was cheating at cards in the 1500s and they cut off their hand. It's an old wives' tale and it's unclear like sort of how true any of it is. But like, let's say it was true. Like, is it ethical for that bar to keep it as like a sort of like draw for crowds to come in and patronize their restaurant? Or like what would be the ethical way to deal with that hand? Like, do you bury the hand? Like, I just don't know.
Yeah, I've got to hand it to you, Lauren. I have no idea.
And these are the very important topics that we discuss on our podcast about Tumblr. How do you ethically source your human bones?
Look, it's important to know,
It is.
You'll never know when the need will arise. What if a witch comes to you with an ancient curse and the only way to solve the curse is to find a specific bone from, an ancient person?
Yeah, I think
you never know.
I think there are circumstances, in which it would be. I think being cursed by a witch, I would give a lot of leeway to. I think I can firmly come down on the side of if someone gives you their bones, I think that's fine. Mm-hmm. And everything else, you're really wandering into a moral gray area.
So it's like it's making me think of what's his face, Peter Pettigrew. In
oh yeah, cutting off his toe.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
In Harry Potter. Yeah. And then also does he cut off his arm or something when he's bringing Voldemort back to life?
Oh, yeah. He cuts off his hand.
He cuts off his hand.
And then Voldemort gives him like a shiny hand.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I mean,
well,
yeah, ethical?
Ethical?
I don't think so. I don't think it's ethical to pressure your employee to sever a part of their body in order for you to be reanimated.
You know what, Lauren, you're so right. And I'm going to keep that in mind if I ever manage a team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That I think would constitute workplace harassment. Moral of the story, don't steal bones. But if you are an artist who makes body part jewelry for people, that's a nice service that you provide, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a ton of different unique things people have started doing with body parts. I know people are doing like sand art with cremated body parts and things and getting them cast in resin and all this kind of interesting stuff. I saw some kind of like video the other day, about, or one of those kind of short docs about things, about, how people have like started preserving loved ones in different ways. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Like, if you're going to have, what is it? The jars that they put cremated remains in, an urn.
Urns.
And if you're going to have an urn or like a piece of art that reminds you of someone, why not do whatever one you want to do? I like it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, talk to your loved ones about how they want their remains taken care of before they die.
Talk to your loved ones if they want their cremated remains turned into sonic sand art.
I mean, more power to you. All right.
Oh, wow. What a journey we've been on today, Lauren.
What a journey. Shall we wrap up?
I think we should. I was going to say, I don't think we have time for our feels quarter, but I think what's got me in my feels is the ethics of bone harvesting. I'm just feeling really interested in that.
I think, and I'm sure that there are philosophers out there who are debating this question. I think as with everything, consent is key.
Consent is key. That's a beautiful place to end this episode, Lauren. And with that, I'm Cher McAnelly, and you can find me at overshares.tumblr.com.
And I'm Lauren Shippen, and you can find me at theLaurenShippen.tumblr.com.
This has been Dashboard Diaries, and
may your anons always be loving,
your dash always refresh,
Your gifts always be loading.
And your ships always canon.
May the fix you're reading always be finished.
And the answers you seek always in the reblogs.
Thanks for scrolling with us.